So Spielberg made Temple of Doom, and everyone was all like, you made a dark and scary and disturbing Indiana Jones movie. So Spielberg said, alright, let's go back to the desert and pretty much do Raiders of the Lost Ark, but let's just add Sean Connery. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Released in 1989 in the month of May came Indiana Jones 3, the end of the trilogy that is just so perfect. Just, we'll get to the fourth one very soon in a couple of weeks. But either way, we're talking about Indiana Jones 3 right now. Guys, I just gotta admit this. There are days this is my favorite Indiana Jones movie, but after rewatching it, I do have to think Raiders is still my favorite Indiana Jones movie, but this one is a close second. Indiana Jones returns Harrison Ford as the character, and this time he is looking for the Holy Grail, Jesus Christ's cup, the last meal he ever drank. They're looking for the Holy Grail, and they have to go back to the desert, and this one definitely feels like, hey, this one feels like a Raider sequel. Like, it feels like it. We get to go back to the same desert in the first one. We get to meet some old characters just like the first one. Like, what was his name? I know his name, not Mark Brady or something like that. Yes, that guy. He's more relevant in this movie. It just feels more like Raiders. That's what everyone loves about this movie. But one part about this movie that I really like is the opening scene where River Phoenix plays a young Indy, and we get to see him learn how to use a whip. We get to see him be scared of snakes. We get to see him get on an awesome chase in a train, whatever. It is a great opening. It might just be my favorite opening besides Temple of Doom's opening. I do love that, and I love River Phoenix as young Indy. He definitely has that vibe of Indy. Like, he definitely says certain lines that are sometimes a little cheesy. He's all like saying old lines from the first movie and second movie. It's like, okay, you're really just doing a copycat of Harrison Ford. But once that opening scene is over, then we jump right into this movie, and we get to meet Harrison Ford, who is just a badass once again as Indiana Jones. And we get to see this bigger production. Like, you can just tell watching this movie, the studio just gave Steven Spielberg, here's your budget, just go and get us more money, because this movie is way more just fun and adventurous than Temple of Doom. Which, Temple of Doom, don't get me wrong, like I said, I really appreciate that movie. But when you watch this movie, you can just feel the summer vibe, the action-packed scenes. Like, I love the boat chase scene. Like, it feels like a Mission Impossible chase scene. Like, it doesn't, when you watch that movie, and you watch him get chased on these boats, whatever, it doesn't feel like Mission Impossible or like James Bond, more really, I would say. Like, it just feels more fresh and new, which is a little off-putting for Indiana Jones, but then we go right back to the desert, and we get some great action scenes there, and of course, we cannot talk about this movie without not talking about Sean Connery. Junior, Indiana Jones. Like, it is, I love it. He is the best add-on to this movie. He's so good. He is so good as Dr. Jones, and he is so good. I love his, like, performance, how outrageous he is, and we'll get to that in a second about outrageousness in this movie, but he is just so good. And between him and Harrison Ford, the dialogue between each other, it is just like watching two actors perform, man. They are so good to each other, and you really do buy a father and a son relationship that kind of butt heads because he would always focus on the adventures and not his son. It's got a great dynamic between that and each other, and they're always running from bad guys getting shot and trying to figure out what to do next, and they're both clumsy and both have that smart ability and both know their history. It's two actors working together perfectly. I love Sean Connery in this movie. It is probably my favorite Sean Connery performance, and there's a lot of good ones out there. But man, I love him as Dr. Jones, as his dad. He's so funny, he's smart, and I love the running joke of the girl that had sex with Indiana Jones, and apparently his dad too. It's one of my favorite jokes in this entire movie. Now let's actually talk about those jokes. My only issue with this movie, and if you watch this movie, you can't lie, there are many cartoony, slapstick jokes that sometimes are really funny. Like, I have to admit, it's pretty funny. Like, there's a scene where pretty much Indiana Jones has to dress up as a captain, and the guy is looking for him. So Indy says, "Tickets, please." Don't have a ticket, and he throws him out the window, and every customer yells their ticket out and everything, because if you don't have your ticket, you're gonna get thrown out the window. It's funny, but it feels like a Looney Tunes joke. I'm sorry. And there's many other jokes too, like the famous tank scene when Sean Connery is in that tank and you have Mr. Brady next to him. It's basically a jokey action scene with them two in that tank. I'm sorry, but sometimes they go for the joke too much in my opinion. But besides that, this movie is entertaining as hell. I love it. I love it. It's so entertaining. And speaking of that tank scene, it is my favorite action scene in this entire franchise. Raiders is great. I love the car chase scene in Raiders. But Indy versus the tank in this movie is hands down just pure knuckle punching, exciting, just tank versus Harrison Ford. I need that in my life. It's well edited. The sound design is so good. It's exciting. And once again, we see our main character get put into jeopardy, gets dirty, bloody, almost killed by the near moments of just like pure just energy when he is caught on the side of the gun with his bag and he's about to hit that wall. He's got dirt in his face, he's got blood going down his face. That is how you make a character vulnerable. We all know he's not gonna die. But in that moment, it's well directed and it's well edited and it makes the moment just purely like, oh no, this is exciting. Is he gonna get hurt? Whatever. And I mean, he fights the captain, a Nazi who was just extremely just villainous, whatever. But it's exciting when they go on the wheel and the one guy gets squished, whatever. I mean, it's just great action. It's my favorite action scene in the entire franchise. I love it. It's Indiana Jones versus a tank. That's all you need to know. And of course, we get the very good ending of them finding the Holy Grail and Indiana Jones having to go through the puzzles, whatever, and figure out how to get through it. And I love how it's a very shocking moment when Indy's dad gets shot. I actually forgot that happened. When I was watching, I was like, oh, dang. I was like, he doesn't die, and he doesn't die. And then I realized, oh, yeah, that he's going to get the cup, whatever. But it was a very intense scene. It's like, oh, man. Like, it puts our characters in jeopardy. That's what this movie does really well. It makes us feel like there is a villain here because it is Nazis again. And my favorite line in this movie is, I hate those Nazis. Like, it's just, I love Harrison Ford. Also, in that one scene, we do get to see him dress up as, like, a Scottish police officer, I think, or something like that. Once again, it goes for the joke a lot in this movie. And it's sometimes funny, like I said. And, of course, there's the famous twist of the side chick who in this movie at first we're thinking is super cool, badass, super hot. We see Indy have sex with her. He's like, yeah, new sidekick. And then she turns out to be a bad guy. It's like, oh, who would have saw that coming? It's the most obvious thing, honestly. It's very obvious in my opinion. And again, I like the joke with her having sex with the dad apparently, because when you have both Joneses in the same room, I mean, how can you not just look at Sean Connery and be like, that is a beautiful man? And they look to your right, and it's like, that's Harrison Ford though. What a beautiful man. It's just like, it's great, and they're in the same scenes for an hour in this movie, and it's so good. I love it. I'm gonna give Indiana Jones 3 an A. Again, I would say Raiders is my favorite, and this would be my second favorite. But then we'll get to 4 in a couple weeks. But that is not my next review. My next review will be the film called Always. I've never seen it, so I'm pretty intrigued to watch it because I've heard certain things about this movie. So that will be coming out to you tomorrow, guys. Hope you guys enjoy this review, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everyone.